We've been asked a lot about a very famous photograph of Django Reinhardt with an undescribed archtop. And we've been asked enough that it seemed worthwhile to try and put some end to the confusion. We did a little research and tried to get a handle on it. What you're looking at is the photograph. It was actually taken by William Gottlieb backstage at the Aquarium in New York City in 1946. And Django Reinhardt was actually in a photo session there standing with David Rose playing Freddie Guy's guitar. Freddie Guy was the guitar player for Duke Ellington's orchestra from sometime in the early 20s all the way through 1946, 7, 8, 9, through 49, I think. And the guitar is a Levin Deluxe, not the Epiphone that I've seen tossed around on the internet from time to time. This is a Levin Deluxe from 1947. It's a little later model, but very similar. Same size and specs. And it's easy, if you play it, to see why Freddie Guy liked it so much. It projects like a cannon and makes just an ideal rhythm guitar for Ellington's orchestra. Django had been invited to come and tour with Duke Ellington in 1946. It was long anticipated that Django would get a chance to come and play in the United States, in the seat of the jazz world. And according to his biographer, he had yearned to play in the seeds of American jazz, the Savoy, the Roseland, the Paramount, the Apollo, Minton's, Monroe's, and the Onyx. He had never really gotten a chance to do that. The war had thrown off any plans that he had had coming out of the 1930s, and the first chance that popped up was in 1946. When Django arrived in the United States, he did not bring a guitar with him. He assumed that the American guitar manufacturers would be falling over themselves to give him guitars, assuming that any guitar that Django played would sell very well. But what actually happened, maybe from poor advance notice or just a different attitude in this country, no manufacturer stepped forward to offer him any guitars whatsoever. In the end, he played a Gibson ES-300 that was lent to him for the duration of the tour, and there are several photographs of him with the guitar while he was here. We know that it was during those few months in 1946 because this is, as far as we know, the only time that Django was ever photographed with a Gibson ES-300. As far as we know also, Freddie Guy continued to play his own guitar through all the tour and the other appearances by the Duke Ellington Orchestra. In other words, the photograph of Django with the Levin Deluxe was a one-time photo session in the back room of the Aquarium. The tour was quite short. It was well received and it had some real high points, but you can't just pop into the Duke Ellington Orchestra with arrangements of that sophistication. You can't just drop in as an improviser. So the way it was handled, I'll read from an account that was made of one of the performances. Django's New York City debut was widely promoted in the newspaper ads and posters. The November 23rd show was a sellout hit. Ellington was at his best, his band stylishly swinging throughout diminuendo in blue, magenta haze, a bunch of spirituals and work song medleys, and Jam a Ditty and his concerto for 4 jazz horns. These were not low-down blues or dancehall jazz, but sophisticated music that only Ellington could write. And then Django took the stage. Hot Jazz's Jimmy Weiser gave a full report for the fans back in Paris. He said, "The hall was packed out. I can safely say that by far the greater part of the audience was made up of admirers who had waited for this moment for 10 years. Duke played as wonderfully as ever and announced Django at 10:30. He had no arrangement to play, but was backed by the Duke. This was something of a disappointment, for the public had expected to see Django and the orchestra on stage at the same time. Nevertheless, Django received a great ovation and took 6 curtain calls.